What was it that you were employed doing?
I work for Detroit Fire Department as EMT.
And on that evening, did you have a run to the area of 3430 3rd Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall approximately what time you arrived at that location?
It was sometime after midnight, I believe.
And when you arrived at that location, what did you arrive in?
The ambulance.
Were you working alone or with a partner?
I had a partner.
What was your partner's name?
Rojas. Al Rojas.
And for, strike that, you said that you worked for the fire department, is that right?
Yes.
What type of work did you do
It's
for the
the
fire department?
EMS division. We work on the ambulance. We pick up people that are dying, sick, need a ride.
And in order to do that job, did you have some specialized training?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been working as an EMS for?
13 years for the city.
How long had you worked with partner Rojas? Was it just that evening or?
It was just for the day. My regular partner was on vacation.
Do you recall what time you started your shift?
7 o'clock at night.
And how late were you supposed to work until?
7 in the morning.
Now you indicated that you arrived at that location in the ambulance, is that right?
Yes.
Were you the driver or passenger?
I was the passenger.
What was the purpose of going to that location?
We had a call for a woman with an injured ankle.
And did you make any observations as the ambulance approached the 3430 3rd Street?
Just that there were 3 people standing across the street from the NSO.
The NSO, what does that stand for?
Neighborhood something organization. It's a shelter.
Had you had runs to that location previously?
10 times a day. We go there all the time.
Now you indicated that when you arrived at that location, you observed 3 people standing across the street from the NSO, is that right?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you do when you first arrived?
Well, we pulled up and we stopped in front of the 3 people.
What happened then?
Asked if anybody was injured.
Did anyone reply or indicate to you that they had been injured?
Yes, the male on scene said that his wife was injured, had a hurt ankle.
That individual who indicated that his wife had an injured ankle, do you see him here in court today?
Yes.
Could you identify him for me by telling me what color he's wearing and point to him?
Green.
Did the record reflect that the witness has pointed to and identified the defendant in this case?
It is noted.
You indicated that there were 3 people there, is that right?
Yes.
You indicated that the defendant was one of the people that was there?
Yes.
And then the other 2 individuals, were they male or female?
There were 2 females.
Once the defendant indicates to you that his wife has this injured ankle, what, if anything, do you do at that point?
We started asking her questions, and then her and I entered the ambulance.
What happens then?
Well, I started to talk to her and find out what was going on with her, because by the way she stepped up into the ambulance, there wasn't anything wrong with her ankle. That was just my observation, so I was talking to her.
What happens then?
This gentleman and my partner were standing outside the ambulance by the door, and he went to step up into the ambulance, and
Who is he?
Mr. Montgomery.
The defendant went to step into the ambulance?
Yes, and I told him he couldn't come in the ambulance. He had already been combative outside the ambulance. He got mad because my partner told his girlfriend or wife that she could put ice on her ankle, and he didn't appreciate that my partner said that to her.
When you said that the defendant didn't appreciate the comment that your partner made, how is it that you knew that he didn't appreciate
He
that?
started swearing at us, and he got aggressive. Aggressive behavior.
Now, when the defendant attempts to get into the vehicle, do you say anything to him?
Yes, I told him he couldn't get in. He wasn't allowed to ride to the hospital. We didn't take riders. That's what I said.
How does the defendant respond when you tell him that he's not allowed to ride in the ambulance?
He said that was his effing wife. He was going with us.
happened then?
And I told him no, he wasn't. And I got on the radio and I asked for scout assistance.
What happened then?
Him and my partner were standing outside and he yelled at the female to get out of the truck.
The defendant yelled at the female?
Yes.
What did he say?
He told her to get the F out of the truck. If he couldn't go, they weren't going anywhere.
Did she comply?
Yes.
What happened then?
He hit my partner with his fist.
Did you see where the defendant struck your partner at on his body?
I was sitting in the seat across from the door and I seen him hit him what appeared to be on his head, in his facial area.
All right, just so the record is clear, you indicated that you saw the defendant strike your partner on his head area.
Yes.
What happened then?
Then my partner hit him back and then they started tussling in the street. And I got out of the truck at that point.
What happened then?
I started yelling at him and his girlfriend. I yelled at the girlfriend to stop him, and I was yelling at him to stop, and then he started reaching into his pocket.
Did you see if the defendant took anything out of his pocket?
Not in that point. He hadn't taken anything out of his pocket. That's when I turned and grabbed a step stool out of the ambulance. I was about 5 steps away from the truck when he started reaching into his pocket.
All right, so you see the defendant reaching into his pocket. That's when you go to the ambulance and grab the step stool?
Yes.
What happens then?
By the time I turned around, he had already stabbed Rojas in the hand.
Did you see the injury to Rojas' hand?
I could see him bleeding.
What's happening as you come back out of the vehicle with the step stool between your partner and the defendant?
Well, they were like squaring off with each other. He was like slinging his hand like that with what I know now was the box cutter in his hand.
Let me stop you there. You said he. Are you talking about the defendant?
Yes.
You indicated you made a motion with, I believe, your right hand in a back and forth across your body motion.
Yes.
Is that right?
That he was swinging, and my partner was swinging his hand, and the blood was going everywhere.
What happens then as you see the defendant with this object in his
I went up to him and I hit him with the step stool.
Where'd you hit
Twice.
him at?
I hit him twice. I hit him, it was like over the shoulder and the neck. Would have been on his left side.
What happens then?
When I was hitting him with the step stool, my partner went to the front of the ambulance. He walked away from their altercation and he went after my partner. Montgomery went after my partner.
All right, let me stop you there. You indicated that at some point after you hit the defendant with the step stool, Rojas walked toward the front of the ambulance?
Yes.
And that the defendant followed Rojas?
Yeah, he didn't even acknowledge that I hit him. It was like I didn't faze him.
What happens then?
I yelled at his girlfriend again to stop him, and he was following Rojas, and he cut him again out in front of the truck when they were in front of the ambulance.
Did you see where the defendant cut Rojas?
That's when he cut him under the eye.
What happens then?
I hit him again. I went after him and hit him again. And then he turned and hit me.
When the defendant turned and hit you, what did he hit you with?
He punched me with his fist first.
Where did that punch land on your body?
On the left side of my face.
When he hit you on the left side of your face with his fist, how did you react?
Well, he hit me hard, so it stunned me, and I bent over, and when I came back up, that's when he caught me in the corner of my ear and sliced down my face with the box cutter.
Now, you indicated that he sliced you from the corner of your ear down across your face on the left side, is that right?
Yes.
And at that point, are you bleeding?
Profusely.
Okay. Do you say anything to him at that point?
Some words that I probably shouldn't be using in court of law, but yeah, I yelled a few different choice words at him.
And did he seem to respond to that at all?
No, he proceeded to come at me, but Rojas at that point realized that he was stabbing me. So he hit him, and he came up behind him and hit him. And he turned on Rojas and started walking towards Rojas again.
What happens then?
I hit him one more time with the step stool on the back of between his head and his neck. I was aiming for his head, but I was hitting him across the shoulders.
Did the defendant appear to respond to that last hit?
That's when he walked away, or went across the field. Him and the girl left at that point.
After the defendant and the girl left, what did you do?
Well, Rojas was asking for help on the radio, and our dispatchers didn't seem to grasp what was going on with us. And so I told him to call code 1000, and he did, and they said that there was a 5-minute ETA for police to get there.
What does it mean to call a code 1000?
That means we're in trouble. We're going to die. Probably. We're getting hurt. We're either getting our butts whooped or somebody. He did say on the radio that we had been stabbed.
Objection to what he said. You're saying.
Judge, I think that based on what she's just testified to, anything that Rojas says at this point is still going to be considered an excited utterance, given the condition that he's in, the number of times that he's been stabbed.
Condition is to establish a foundation.
I think I already have by what she's just testified to.
Please overrule.
Thank you. Now, you indicated that Rojas said over the phone that you had been stabbed and that he called this code 1000. Is that right?
Over the radio, yes.
And you were provided some information about a 5-minute ETA. Is that right?
Yes.
Based on that, what, if anything, do you do?
I asked Rojas could he drive because he was standing in a puddle of blood. I didn't realize how bad I was. I knew I was bleeding, but I didn't know how bad I was bleeding. And he said yes. He said he thinks so.
So at this point, what happened?
We got in the ambulance.
Where did you get in?
I got in the passenger side.
Were you in the front, what we would consider the front passenger side of the ambulance?
Yes, and he was in the driver's seat.
And is Rojas able to drive you anywhere?
He was driving with one. I was holding his one hand and that was bleeding, and I was holding my face, and he was driving with one hand. And I got on the radio and told them not to send anybody because Mr. Montgomery was still on the scene somewhere, and that he was armed with a knife, and that we would be driving ourselves to the hospital.
Which hospital did you go to?
Detroit Receiving.
Once you arrived at Detroit Receiving Hospital, did you have to receive some medical treatment?
Yes.
Tell me about the type of treatment that you received.
We both were put into recess because we both lost. We had arteries. I had arteries cut in my face, and he had arteries cut in his hand, and we both had lost a substantial amount of blood.
When you say that you're put in recess, what does that mean?
That's where they do immediate care. The doctors, everybody, nurses. It's where life-threatening injuries goes to recess.
Now, at that point, once you are at the hospital, do you receive some treatment as soon as you arrive?
Yeah.
Later, do you undergo surgery?
Yes.
What type of surgeries have you had to have up until this point as it relates to the injuries that you suffered back on October 20th?
I've had to have my facial nerves put back together, the muscles in my face reconstructed. The saliva gland in my face right now is detached. So I have to go once a month and have once every couple of weeks and have my face drained because it fills with saliva on the side of my face. That'll be fixed in the future. But right now and I've had surgery on my eye because I have complete paralysis on the left side of my face, and my eye doesn't close.
The complete paralysis on the left side of your face, is that something that they expect you to recover from or no?
They're hoping. They don't say. It could happen.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibits 1 through 4. Ms. Adams, do you recognize People's Proposed Exhibit number 1?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's Al Rojas.
And is that Mr. Rojas at what appears to be the hospital?
Yes.
People's Exhibit number 2?
Yes, that was the back of his hand.
Exhibit 3?
Yes.
back of his hand
That's
again?
Rojas' hand.
Exhibit number 4.
That's his eye. That's Rojas' eye.
Do these pictures accurately reflect Mr. Rojas' injuries as you saw them the night that this happened?
Yes, the picture to the palm of his hand is, you don't have that. That was the worst. That was where they cut tendons in his hand.
Are you indicating for the record then that in addition to the photographs, these injuries...
There's another injury, yeah.
There's another injury to the bottom of Mr. Rojas' hand?
Yes.
Okay. I would move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibits 1 through 4.
No objection. For exam purposes. Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit numbers 5, 6, and 7.
I'm sorry, my eye's watering. If you have one, I appreciate it.
Sorry.
It happens. I'm not crying.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is that a result of your injury?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibits 5, 6, and 7. Do you recognize what People's Exhibit number 5 is?
Yes.
What
That's
is
me.
At the hospital?
Yes.
Exhibit 6
Yes.
and 7.
Yes.
I'd move for the admission of People's 5, 6, and 7.
No objection for exam
Did-
purposes only.
Did you end up getting that other picture?
Not yet. I'll talk about that later.
All right.
For the record, did you send me a photograph this morning from your phone to my email? What did you send me?
The open wound picture of my face.
All right, so is it a photograph of the left side of your face from ear to
Yes.
perhaps
it's-
chin
Yeah.
that shows the actual injury not covered by
Yes.
bandages? I will, of course, provide that to defense counsel as soon as I receive it. Now showing you exhibit numbers 8 through 13. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
8? What is 8 of?
That's our ambulance.
9?
Medic 6. It's the ambulance we were in.
10? Now, exhibit number 10, is this the door handle?
Yes.
11?
Yes.
12? And
Yeah.
13? Are those the inside of
That's
the
the
driver's
inside
side?
of the truck, yeah.
And 11 would be, again, looking in the inside of the truck?
Yes.
I'd move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibits 8 through 13.
No objection, Your Honor, for exam purposes only.
So admitted.
May I approach? Now, while you were at the hospital, did the police approach you and ask you to look at some photographs?
Yes.
And did you look at those photographs?
Yes.
And did you identify anybody at that time?
No.
Why not?
I was really drugged up, and I was on a lot of pain medication, and I didn't want to pick the wrong person at the time. So I told them they needed to come back when I wasn't so medicated.
To your knowledge, did they ever come back with another six-pack?
Yes.
Do you know when?
You know what, I'm not sure.
You're not sure if they came
I know
back?
they had the girls. There was the picture of the girls.
So are you indicating then for the record that they came back with some 6 pictures of some females? Or a picture of a female? I'm confused.
The first picture, there was the female and the male pictures.
Okay. So did they come back a second time, or?
No.
Okay. Now, you indicated that at that point you did not pick anybody else because you were really drunk.
Yes.
Right? Do you know what kinds of medications you were on at that time?
Yes. I
Okay.
was Dilaudid, and I was just coming from, I had, I forget what else they had given me, but I was on a lot of pain medication.
And had you ever seen the defendant before this date on October 20th?
Yes.
Approximately how many times do you think you'd seen him before?
A few. I'd say 2 or 3.
Where had you seen him at?
Same area, out in front of the NSO.
No further questions, thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Witness, you have indicated that you've seen Mr. Montgomery several times before,
And several, a few.
and in those other times that you saw him, he was not combative with you, is that correct?
Yes, he's always combative whenever we see him.
And you reported that to the police?
Oh, he No, if I reported to the I can't report everything to the police.
Tell this court when the last time he was combative with you prior to October 20th, 2000.
I don't recall. I just know that we run in the area before where he is. He has a lot to say whenever we show up there.
So your answer is what date, ma'am?
I don't know.
Thank you. Now, on October the 20th, 2015, you testified to this court that this young lady that was with Mr. Montgomery was getting out of this truck, correct?
Getting out of our truck?
Out of your truck,
Yes, when
Right.
he asked her to get out of the truck, yes.
okay? And she got out of the truck, and you say that there became a confrontation between Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Rojas, correct?
Yes,
And you were inside of that truck when that confrontation started, is that correct?
yes,
And it is your testimony that you observed Mr. Montgomery hit Mr. Rojas?
yes.
And what hand did you see Mr. Montgomery hit Mr. Rojas with?
His right hand?
Are you guessing that?
Yes,
You are?
yes.
Okay. Please don't guess.
No,
We need you to be truthful and accurate. Okay? If you don't know, please tell us you don't. Thank you. So you didn't see what hand Mr. Montgomery hit Mr. Rojas with, correct?
I just seen him hit him.
You did not see the hand that you claim Mr. Montgomery hit
No,
Mr.
sir.
Rojas with, correct?
Correct.
And you were unable to see that because you didn't see these two parties hitting each other, did you? Initially, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Well, what hand did Mr. Rojas hit Mr. Montgomery with?
Objection has been asked and answered.
No,
Now it's
I asked the other way around, Judge.
I just would like to finish my objection.
Please do.
I believe that it's now argumentative. He's asked her what hand, she said she doesn't know.
No, I asked her what hand Mr. Montgomery hit Mr. Rojas with. She said she did not know. The second question I asked her was, what hand did Mr. Rojas hit Mr. Montgomery with? That's a different question.
Please continue.
Okay, so now what hand did Mr.
His right hand?
Rojas? And are you guessing?
No.
And where did you see him strike Mr. Montgomery?
I don't think he made contact with him.
Okay. How many times did you see Mr. Rojas punch Mr. Montgomery?
From that point of view, once.
How about throughout the whole incident?
After I got out of the ambulance, I seen him come in contact with him one time.
Okay, so are you telling this court that Mr. Rojas threw two punches?
That I seen, yes.
Okay. And you have indicated to this court that you struck Mr. Montgomery at least 3 times or 4 times with this stool?
Yes,
It's a metal stool?
yes.
It's a stool you guys sit on inside the truck?
It's a step stool for people to get in and out of the ambulance.
Okay. And was the step stool inside the truck
Yes,
when Mr. Rojas first encountered Mr. Montgomery with these punches?
yes.
And you grabbed the step stool and hop out of the truck?
No, I was out of the truck already. I went back to the truck and grabbed it.
Okay. And you would agree with me that you hit Mr. Montgomery 4 times with that step stool?
At least.
Now, you said when you first arrived there were 2 females and a male.
Yes.
The male being Mr. Montgomery. Do you know where the female that was not injured, do you know where she went?
I don't think she went anywhere. She was sitting on the curb, and she was sitting on the curb the whole time.
Did you get any information from her as to who she was?
No, she's just someone from the shelter.
Now, was she there throughout the whole incident?
Yes.
And she did not get involved in the incident?
No.
How about the lady that was injured? Did she get involved in the incident?
No.
Did she try to stop Mr. Rojas from hitting Mr. Montgomery?
No.
You testified here that you hit Mr. Montgomery for the last time and then he walked away?
Yes.
You hit him upside the head?
Well, it was over the back of his shoulders. It might have connected with his head. I can't be too sure.
How long would you say this incident lasts? From the time that you pulled up to the time that Mr. Montgomery and company walked away?
But it seemed like forever, but it could have been maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
And you initially had called for 911 or called the police?
Yes, I did call and say that I needed Scout because he was acting up.
And no scout came?
Well, they told me I was on the ES channel, which means I was on the hospital channel. My radio was on the wrong channel to summons the police, I guess. So I switched it over to ES1 and asked again. But this was before they even touched each other.
Okay. And so in that 5-minute period of time, the police never showed, correct?
No.
Any regret?
Nope.
Thank you so much for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Judge, I have no further witnesses at this time.
Defense has no questions, Your Honor.
Do you want me to wait till she leaves the court? Your Honor, I would make a motion to bind the defendant over as charged in the information and complaint. I believe the testimony shows that her and her partner, Alfredo Rojas, were working as EMTs back on October 20th, 2015, when they got a run to 3430 3rd Street in the city of Detroit. Based on the photographs and the testimony of Kelly Adams, as well as the photographs that have been admitted of both the ambulance as well as the injuries to both of these individuals, I believe it's a question of fact as to what the defendant's true intent was. That armed with a weapon, striking in the face, striking very close to the eyes on both of these individuals. I do believe that it is a question of fact as it relates to these counts, and ask the court to bind the defendant over as charged.
All 7, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To the discretion of the court.
Thank you very much. Please stand, Mr. Montgomery. When their examination has been held in this matter, the court finds probable cause has been established as required. Will be bound over on civil charges as indicated. Your court date again, December 7th, 2015. At this point, we have our last